Hello, my new friends. My name is Jennifer Boyd. I practice medicine in the United States, and I do that as a licensed physician assistant. We can diagnose, we can order medications, we can perform surgeries if our training allows us to do that. So this profession only became available in the United States probably back in the 1950s. So we can't do everything. There's a legal requirement that I have some kind of relationship with a physician. I have a physician who works in the same town that I do, and we both see separate patients, but I know if I have something that I just wasn't trained in, I don't have the exact same training as a medical doctor, I can call her up and ask her questions or ask her to finish treating the patient. But the great thing about the profession is there's no limit to what you can learn. I continue to learn. I've been a PA for 20 years, and this was my second career. So what I do now is I treat in more of an alternative medicine fashion. The Western model of medicine is what we call conventional or allopathic. That's pretty straightforward. You get the textbooks, you learn everything, and you learn this is what we think we know. This is what the infection is, and this is the pharmaceutical drug to treat it. And it's sort of like a menu, I'll have from this column and this column, and that's it. And it's pretty limited. I will say there's some things that Western medicine absolutely excels at. Surgical things, very acute conditions, things that are short-term, happen suddenly. Western medicine does not do well with chronic conditions. Maybe in your country you struggle with a lot of malaria that can go on for a long time. They might have lingering, continuing problems. And Western medicine tends to just sort of lose the thread about how to help people when that first line of therapy just doesn't do everything we had hoped it would do. So alternative medicine is the pursuit of saying, how can I really make this problem go away? Not just treat it with an antibiotic or offer the patient surgery, but can I really listen to how these symptoms started for the person and help them figure out oh, okay, based on what you told me, it sounds like you were under a lot of stress during that time, and that may have caused your immune system to go down and be out of balance. And then you were just constantly driving lots of needs on a tank that was half full. So we need to replace some of those nutrients. That's the kind of thinking that I do. It's like medical detective work. Thought I'd share with you today some of the things I love that I have figured out over many years. Sometimes people just don't get better. Why is that? One of the reasons is because their rhythm is off. Rhythms can mean heartbeat, respiratory rate, even blood pressure. You can imagine when you hear a heartbeat that there's a dance beat that goes with it. That's part of the rhythms, and all of the fluids in the body contribute to that rhythm of the person. And so if you have somebody who's sort of lost their rhythm, you can start seeing their heart rate is irregular, or they're not moving as much. When I look at somebody's total health, I want to know, are they cycling? Do they have a nice fluid rhythm? Do they have everything they need to respond fluidly to the challenges of their life? And one thing that gets out of balance with all Americans is their diurnal cycle, their 24-hour circadian rhythm. But you can see over a 24-hour period at the top here that everybody cycles through a period of being catabolic first thing in the morning, and then later on the day to anabolic, and then back again. So if somebody is really healthy, they are cycling in a tight 24-hour circle. Over time, this can get deranged if you don't have the appropriate nutrients, if you're under a lot of stress, your body loses its rhythm. You wind up stuck in the anabolic phase or in the catabolic phase for most of the day. Anabolic is when you are repairing and building. That's when you build up, you recreate, you lay down bone, you make muscle, you replenish your nervous system. Really important to repair wounds. You are catabolic when you are using all of your nutrients and you're out running around, you're breaking things down. And so muscle fibers are being broken apart, you're consuming all of your nutrients, your metabolic needs for the day. It shows you some of the problems that you might have if you are out of balance. Catabolic, people who are stuck in the catabolic part of the cycle, They don't sleep well. They get diarrhea. They are bloated with water. Their eyes get sunken in. They're sort of recessed. They have very low blood pressure. Sometimes they stand up quickly and they feel like, woo, and they fall down. They have low body temperature. They lose their hair. They get headaches, migraine headaches. They may get asthma. What's driving them to be so catabolic? It could be stress. It could be that when they are going to sleep, that they are actually not getting good rest. So the anabolic, some people just can't wake up. They're in the anabolic phase all of the time. And you can tell because they're just sleepy all the time. They wake up and they don't feel refreshed. They wake up and they feel exhausted. They're constipated and they're going to the bathroom all the time. Also, their eyes protrude. Their heart rate is fast. They have high blood pressure. They're very hot all of the time. They get viral infections very frequently. They might be more prone to diabetes. So these aren't hard and fast rules. These are more like what I said in the beginning. You need to listen to the person and start populating your ideas about like, well, what could be the root of this problem? If the symptoms that they're having are the leaves on the tree, what is driving that problem, right? At the root of the tree, what is making that happen? And this is often that they're out of balance. In order for your body to have that nice tight cycle, it expects you to be eating regularly during waking hours. Absence of food tells your body, oh, we must be shifting into the anabolic state. So when you have somebody who's eating till midnight every night, their body is going, where are we? What's happening? When you start paying attention to people, you start appreciating that they are telling you what's wrong with them all of the time. So when you look and say, hey, show me your tongue. So my tongue is nice and shiny. That's a good sign. But you'll notice down the center, I have a deep fissure down the center of my tongue. That only appeared about 7 years ago. And we're going to go over tongue diagnosis. This comes mostly from Chinese medicine. The tongue can tell you so much about the health of the person if we pay attention to it. So again, it's a little bit like looking at the leaves on the tree. So let me share with you a couple of things. If somebody sticks their tongue out, and it's very red, kind of angry red all over, that's called glossitis, inflammation of the tongue. And that can be from protein undernutrition, just not enough protein in their diet. It could be from an imbalance of iron or several types of B vitamins. If somebody is saying, oh, you know, their tongue looks red and it's burning, that could be from a deficiency of zinc or vitamin C. If they have fissuring, as I do, that's often because they have a deficiency of a B vitamin called niacin, or that they have some issues in their gut. Sometimes you'll look at somebody's tongue and it will look black, like it's kind of got like a hairy black coating. And that one can be associated with taking medications like sulfur or Pepto-Bismol. There's so many things that the body can tell you just by looking at it. And lastly, I just wanted to show you this fun chart about digestion. There's 3 phases of digestion: the cephalic, the gastric, and the intestinal phases. And that's important because when we're looking at people who are out of balance, one of the reasons that they get out of balance and they start to have symptoms is because their digestion is off. So it's important to know that there's actually 3 phases of digestion. It doesn't all happen in your stomach. First phase is in the head. It's called cephalic. And that first phase is really important. So I often ask people to slow down and think about the food that they're going to eat at the next meal. And that phase is important. That pause when you think about food, or the first phase, the cephalic phase, where your body starts to mobilize all of the energy it takes to digest your food. It's really important because the first stage of breakdown of food happens in your mouth. And so the next secret that I tell everybody is, you want to chew your food. When you are mindful or prayerful, it actually switches your nervous system into the rest and digest phase, because then you can actually extract all of the nutrients you need from those foods. So it's a really simple thing you can ask people to do. If you have prayer or mindfulness in your practice, just take a moment, a minute. If you can't give a minute, 30 seconds will do. And just show gratitude for your food and imagine it, how it was growing in the world, and connect to it. And it mobilizes all of these gastric juices and all of these enzymes in your mouth to get you prepared to eat. First 5 minutes of your meal, try to take small bites and chew your food so thoroughly that your food becomes sluice. And sluice is when you have chewed something down to the degree that it is just liquid. That's actually how your body expects that food to come in. But people tend to take giant bites and swallow it whole, usually with a big gulp of water, which means you've washed away all of your digestive enzymes. Really, what you want to do is slow it down, chew very carefully, very thoroughly until it's liquid, and then swallow it. You will have accomplished a huge amount towards getting that food properly digested. So that's just the cephalic phase, right? We haven't even gotten to the stomach yet. When it gets into the stomach, you want that stomach ready, willing, and able. You want that stomach to have a nice rhythm so that it can churn and mix your food with acid and help you break it down further. After that, it's going to go into the intestines, the third phase. And that third phase is where all of the magic happens. And what happens is that acid and all those digestive enzymes that came into the stomach just get secreted in little bloop into the intestine. And when that happens, it triggers a reaction and your intestines say, oh, let's call for more digestive enzymes. And the bile comes in and pancreatic enzymes get joined in the intestines with your food. So interestingly, we always think about food liberating the chemicals that we know about. But what we don't realize we get out of that is, let's call it a volcano of energy, because you've got acid meeting bicarb, stomach acid meeting intestinal bicarb, you get a huge explosion. And that energy is so intense that it breaks apart bonds. And when you break apart those bonds on the cellular level, you release energy in forms of light. All of the light that was harnessed in those greens that the goat ate, or the greens that you ate straight from the garden, those bonds, when they break apart, give you the quantum energy every time they do that. Isn't that fascinating? We do know that that energy exists and it can neither be created nor destroyed, but you are very welcome here. And if you have any questions, you can send them on to Lila, and I'm sure she'll share with you how to get in touch with me. Okay, this has been an absolute honor and a pleasure.